Attraction is one of the most misunderstood forces in human connection. Many people believe it's all about having the perfect face, the perfect body, or the perfect bank account. They think attraction is purely visual or transactional, but the truth runs much deeper. What truly pulls a woman toward a man is not what he owns or even what he looks like. It is the energy he carries within himself, that invisible force. The presence you radiate when you walk into a room speaks louder than any words you could say. It determines whether she sees you as forgettable or unforgettable, whether she dismisses you or suddenly starts to wonder why she can't stop thinking about you. When you realize this, you begin to understand that initial disinterest means nothing. A woman might not notice you at first, but that doesn't define your potential or your worth. Too many men sabotage themselves by interpreting a lack of attention as rejection. They think if she isn't immediately drawn to them, the game is already over. But attraction doesn't work that way. Interest can be built, grown, and cultivated over time. What matters is not where you start. It's the energy and confidence you bring consistently. A man who understands this never begs for validation. Instead, he becomes the type of person people naturally want to be around. That shift in mindset is everything. If your goal is to be wanted, you cannot approach women from a place of chasing. Chasing communicates that you believe you are beneath her, that you need her approval to feel valuable. And nothing destroys attraction faster than desperation. True magnetism is born when you turn your focus inward, when you stop asking, how do I make her like me? And start asking, how do I become so powerful, so authentic, so unshakable that she cannot help but notice me? This subtle change flips the entire dynamic. You are no longer the one seeking attention. You are the source of attention. Confidence is not arrogance. It's not walking around pretending to be superior or acting like you don't care about anyone. Real confidence is the quiet certainty that you know who you are and what you bring to the table. It's the ability to stand tall without needing to be the loudest in the room. It's the calmness that comes from not fearing rejection, because you understand rejection doesn't take away from your worth. A man who embraces this truth radiates a different kind of presence. People lean in when he speaks. People notice when he enters. And women, even those who may not have been interested at first, start to feel curiosity build inside them. Think about it this way. Women are not attracted to the things you try to show off. They are attracted to the things you naturally embody. If you are deeply secure in yourself, if you carry yourself like a man who is aligned with his purpose, if you know you don't need anyone else to complete you, that energy becomes magnetic. A woman feels it even if she can't fully explain it. It bypasses logic and reaches something deeper. This is why two men can say the exact same words, and one gets ignored while the other sparks instant attraction. The difference isn't the words, it's the energy behind them. So the first truth about making any woman want you is this: stop obsessing over what you think she wants and start embodying the version of yourself that is undeniable. She may not see it immediately, but when you hold that energy consistently, when you stop trying to impress and instead allow your presence to speak for you, she feels it. And once she feels it, curiosity turns into attention, and attention turns into attraction. That is the power of understanding the true nature of attraction. It's not about convincing her, it's about becoming the kind of man she can't ignore. The foundation of attraction is not found in techniques, tricks, or rehearsed lines. It begins with the mastery of yourself. Before you even think about how to influence someone else, you must gain control over your own thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. The reason this is so powerful is simple. People are drawn to those who have their lives under control. A man who is disciplined, calm, and steady in his own energy sends a message without saying a word. That message is, I do not need you to validate me because I validate myself. This is why self-mastery always comes before external attraction. Without it, everything you do comes across as forced, and no matter how charming you try to be, that lack of inner control will eventually surface. Discipline is the first step. A man who cannot discipline himself will always struggle to inspire respect in others. When you wake up in the morning and stick to your commitments, when you care for your health, your appearance, your finances, and your emotional state, you are not just building a routine, you are building an identity. A woman can sense when a man is consistent with himself because that consistency shows in his posture, in his eyes, in the way he carries himself. Compare that to someone who is constantly seeking shortcuts, who makes promises he cannot keep, who bends and breaks whenever life gets hard. One man radiates reliability, the other radiates instability, and attraction at its core is always drawn towards strength, never weakness. Self-mastery also means controlling your emotions. Too many men crumble at the smallest sign of disinterest or rejection. They allow a woman's lack of attention to throw them into insecurity and doubt. But here is the truth. If your emotions are fragile, you will always be at the mercy of how someone else responds to you. A man who truly commands respect is one who can feel rejection, disappointment, or even disrespect and remain steady. He does not lash out, he does not beg, and he does not lose his composure. Instead, he knows that his value is not up for negotiation. He does not give anyone the power to shake his foundation. That steadiness is magnetic because it communicates strength at a level most people do not achieve. Confidence grows naturally from this self-control. You don't need to fake it because it is no longer an act. It becomes who you are. You are not confident because you are trying to impress anyone. You are confident because you know you can rely on yourself. Every time you follow through on a commitment, every time you resist the temptation to settle for less than you deserve, every time you stay calm under pressure, you reinforce that inner certainty. Over time, that builds into an aura that no one can take away from you. You walk differently, you speak differently, and women can feel that difference before you even approach them. What many men fail to realize is that this type of self-mastery removes the neediness that kills attraction. Needing her attention, needing her approval, needing her to like you, these are all signals of weakness. But when you master yourself, you stop needing. You would like her attention, yes, but it does not define you. You would welcome her presence, but you do not beg for it. And that subtle shift is what makes women notice you. They are drawn to the calm, steady confidence of a man who is complete within himself. He doesn't need fixing. He doesn't need rescuing. He doesn't need someone else to make him feel valuable. That level of independence creates curiosity, and curiosity creates desire. Another aspect of self-mastery is alignment with your purpose. When you have direction in your life, when you are chasing something bigger than yourself, you automatically separate yourself from the masses. Too many men live without direction, drifting from one distraction to the next, hoping someone else will give their life meaning. But a man on a mission does not wait for permission. He creates. That energy is inspiring, and women are naturally drawn to inspiration. They want to be around someone who is building, someone who is growing, someone who is alive with passion. When you are committed to your path, your energy becomes contagious, and that attraction goes beyond looks or charm. It becomes respect, admiration, and desire. So self-mastery is not a small piece of the puzzle. It is the puzzle. Everything else rests on it. If you want to become magnetic, you must first become disciplined in your habits, steady in your emotions, clear in your confidence, and relentless in your purpose. This does not mean you need to be perfect. It means you need to be consistent. Each small act of discipline builds the man you are becoming. Each moment you resist neediness strengthens the signal you radiate. Each step you take toward your vision separates you from every man who is still chasing validation. That is how attraction shifts. That is how you move from overlooked to unforgettable. You don't win her interest by force. You win it by becoming a man so complete within himself that she feels compelled to want you, even if she never noticed you before. Attraction does not begin in the mind, it begins in the emotions. Logic can explain why someone should be interested, but it can never create true desire. This is where many men go wrong. They believe if they say the right things, list their accomplishments, or prove their value, a woman will naturally want them. But attraction isn't built on facts, it is built on feelings. What she remembers about you is not your resume, not that the clever lines you rehearsed, not the statistics of your success. What stays with her is how she felt in your presence. Did she feel curious? Did she feel alive? Did she feel safe? Did she feel like she was experiencing something rare? That emotional imprint is what creates the spark that cannot be ignored. Think about every time you've been drawn to someone yourself. It wasn't always because of how they looked or what they owned. It was something about the way they made you feel when you were around them. Maybe they made you laugh effortlessly. Maybe they made you feel heard. Or maybe they created a kind of mystery that pulled you closer without explanation. That is the exact same process for women. When a man can stir her emotions, when he can make her feel something beyond the ordinary, her attraction begins to grow even if she didn't notice him at first. This is why emotional impact is more powerful than appearance or status, because emotions bypass logic, they are felt deeply, and once felt, they are not easily forgotten. The way to create this impact begins with intention. Most men communicate without any awareness of the energy behind their words. They either talk to fill space, or they try to impress with facts, or they rely on humor that feels forced. But when you speak with intention, you deliver your words in a way that carries weight. You are not talking to be liked. You are talking because you have something meaningful to share. That energy is felt. It shows that you respect yourself enough to not waste your own words. When you bring clarity and confidence to how you communicate, you create an emotional reaction in the other person. She feels the difference between someone who is speaking from a place of insecurity and someone who is grounded in his own truth. But emotional impact is not just about what you say, it is also about what you don't say. Silence can be more powerful than words if used correctly. When you are comfortable with pauses, when you can hold eye contact without rushing to fill the space, you create tension. And tension is one of the strongest fuels for attraction. Too many men are afraid of silence because they feel it might make things awkward. But in reality, silence communicates confidence. It communicates comfort with yourself. It creates curiosity, and curiosity pulls emotions to the surface. The woman begins to wonder what you are thinking, why you are not rushing, why you seem so steady. That mystery makes her feel, and feeling is the bridge to desire. Another powerful element of emotional impact is unpredictability. When you act exactly how she expects, when you follow the script that every other man follows, you blend into the background. But when you create moments of surprise, when you bring an energy that shifts the dynamic, you stand out. This doesn't mean being erratic or acting just to shock. It means not being afraid to break the pattern. Maybe it's in the way you respond with calmness when most men would chase. Maybe it's in the way you stay composed when she tests your boundaries. Maybe it's in the way you maintain your focus on your own path instead of orbiting around hers. That unpredictability makes emotions surge, and those surges are what plant the seeds of attraction. Remember this truth: women do not fall for the man who tries the hardest to impress them. They fall for the man who makes them feel emotions they cannot ignore. And those emotions are not always about laughter or fun. Sometimes it's the respect they feel when you enforce your boundaries. Sometimes it's the admiration they feel when they see you chasing your vision with relentless focus. Sometimes it's the curiosity they feel when you don't reveal everything about yourself at once. Each of these moments creates an emotional charge, and those charges build into an experience that sets you apart. So if you want to understand how to make any woman want you, even if she's not initially interested, Stop trying to argue your case with logic. Stop trying to convince her of your value with facts. Instead, focus on the emotional atmosphere you create around you. How do you make people feel in your presence? Do you leave them indifferent, or do you leave them stirred? Do they forget you after a few minutes, or do they find themselves replaying the interaction in their mind later on? That is the measurement of true impact. The key is this: when you master emotional impact, you no longer need to pursue. She begins to pursue the feeling you give her. She may not even know why, but she feels drawn back into your presence. And when that happens, interest is no longer something you chase. It is something you naturally command. That is the power of emotional impact. And it is one of the most essential truths in the art of attraction. The greatest paradox of attraction is this: the more you chase, the further away it runs. But the moment you detach, the more magnetic you become. Detachment does not mean coldness, nor does it mean indifference. It means you are free from the need to control the outcome. It means you are no longer emotionally dependent on whether she likes you, texts you back, or shows you attention. And that freedom creates an irresistible presence. Women are drawn to men who can walk away without hesitation, because it communicates a rare kind of power, the power of self-respect. A man who does not cling, who does not beg, who does not crumble under silence, immediately separates himself from every other man who gives his energy away too easily. The reason detachment is magnetic is because it sends a subconscious signal of strength. Most men fold under the weight of uncertainty. If a woman pulls back, they panic. If she doesn't respond, they bombard her with more attention. If she ignores them, they chase harder, thinking persistence will change her mind. But what it really communicates is desperation, and desperation kills attraction. Detachment flips the dynamic entirely. Instead of scrambling to hold on, you allow space. You are not afraid of silence. You are not afraid of absence. You are not afraid of walking away. That energy tells her without words, I am complete with or without you. That message is irresistible because it's so rare. When you stop over pursuing, something powerful happens. You allow curiosity to grow. Desire cannot exist without curiosity. If everything about you is on display immediately, if you reveal every thought, every feeling, every ounce of attention too soon, there is nothing left for her to discover. But when you hold something back, when you create space, you give her the room to wander. And wondering is where attraction lives. She starts asking herself, why isn't he chasing me like everyone else? Why does he seem so grounded? Why does his attention feel different? That questioning stirs emotion. And as you've already learned, emotion is the birthplace of attraction. Detachment also means you are not attached to an outcome. You are not trying to force her interest. You are not obsessed with whether this moment turns into a relationship, a date, or anything else. You are fully present, enjoying the connection without clinging to where it goes. That kind of presence is intoxicating. It makes you seem more confident, more mysterious, and more valuable. Why? Because only men who know their worth can behave this way. If you are insecure, you cling. If you are fearful, you chase. If you are uncertain of yourself, you demand reassurance. But if you are grounded, if you trust in your own value, you simply allow things to unfold naturally. That relaxed energy becomes a magnet because it shows you are not desperate. You are in control. Another dimension of detachment is how it shapes your behavior when she tests you. And yes, she will test you. She might pull back. She might ignore you for a moment. She might give you less attention to see how you respond. The insecure man will immediately chase harder, trying to win back her focus. The grounded man does the opposite. He stays calm. He stays centered and he stays detached. He knows his value does not decrease just because someone pulls away. This unshakable calmness is rare, and because it is rare, it is powerful. Women are naturally drawn to men who cannot be rattled, men who remain steady under pressure. Detachment is what allows you to embody that steadiness. Many men misunderstand detachment and think it means ignoring or mistreating women. That is not true. Detachment is not about disrespect. It is about balance. You give attention freely, but you do not beg for it in return. You care deeply, but you are not consumed by the fear of losing someone. You are open to connection, but you are not enslaved to it. This balance is what creates respect. A man who is detached is not careless. He is simply free, free from neediness, free from fear, free from insecurity. And that freedom makes him magnetic because it shows he has something most people lack control over himself. The ultimate power of detachment is that it shifts the dynamic from you pursuing her to her pursuing you. The moment she realizes you are not chasing, the moment she sees you are not dependent on her response, she feels the pull to re-engage. She wants to understand why you are different. She wants to feel that energy again. And slowly, the balance of power shifts, not because you forced it, but because your detachment created the space for her desire to grow. This is why the most confident men never over-invest early. They know that attraction is not built by flooding someone with attention. It is built by holding back just enough to let curiosity and desire do the work. So understand this. Detachment is not about caring less. It is about valuing yourself more. When you place your self-respect above your need for validation, you become untouchable. You become the kind of man who cannot be manipulated by silence, by games, or by rejection. And that unshakable energy makes you magnetic. A woman may not notice you at first, but when she experiences your ability to remain calm, confident, and detached, she begins to feel the pull. It is a quiet, undeniable attraction that builds not because you forced it, but because you mastered yourself. And when you embody that level of detachment, you will always stand out as the man who does not need to chase because he has already become the man who attracts. Masculine energy is not about aggression, control, or dominance in the way most people imagine it. True masculinity is something far deeper and far more attractive. It is the calm, steady presence of a man who knows who he is and what he stands for. It is the certainty of direction, the strength of boundaries, and the quiet confidence that does not need to shout to be recognized. This type of energy is magnetic because it provides something women instinctively respond to. Stability and leadership in a world where so many men are uncertain, unfocused, or easily shaken. The man who radiates grounded, masculine energy becomes unforgettable. Even if a woman is not initially interested, she cannot help but take notice when she feels this kind of presence. Masculinity at its core is about purpose. A man without purpose is like a ship without a rudder, drifting aimlessly wherever the wind takes him. He becomes reactive instead of proactive, dependent instead of independent, and needy instead of self-assured. But when a man is aligned with his mission, when he has a vision for his life that is bigger than himself, he moves differently. His energy shifts. His focus is sharp, his decisions are firm, and his presence communicates that he is not easily swayed by distraction. This type of direction is profoundly attractive because it shows strength of mind and spirit. A woman feels safe in the presence of a man who knows where he is going because his stability offers her something most cannot, certainty in a world full of uncertainty. Boundaries are another expression of masculine energy. Too many men allow themselves to be walked over, manipulated, or bent out of shape because they fear losing a woman's attention. They say yes when they want to say no. They tolerate behavior that disrespects them, and they give away their energy too freely. But boundaries are not walls, they are standards. A man who knows his worth does not allow anyone, including a woman he desires, to cross those standards without consequence. He does not need to argue, he does not need to fight, and he does not need to explain endlessly. His boundaries are felt in his calm firmness. And paradoxically, when a man enforces his boundaries, women respect him more. Respect is the soil where attraction grows, and boundaries are the roots that keep it alive. Strength in its purest form is not loud or forceful, it is calm. A man who is truly strong does not need to prove himself through arrogance or control. His strength is visible in his composure. He does not break under pressure. He does not beg for attention. and he does not panic when faced with uncertainty. That steadiness is intoxicating because it creates safety. Women are naturally drawn to men who embody that type of inner strength because it is rare and difficult to find. Anyone can act tough when life is easy, but true masculinity is revealed in how a man responds when things become difficult. If he remains centered, focused, and unwavering, he becomes magnetic without even trying. Another element of masculine energy is leadership, not in the sense of controlling others, but in the sense of guiding with clarity. Leadership means taking initiative, making decisions with confidence, and being willing to take responsibility for outcomes. A man who hesitates endlessly, who avoids responsibility, or who hides from difficult choices does not inspire attraction. But a man who leads himself first, who takes charge of his own life and refuses to blame others, becomes a natural leader in every situation. This kind of energy does not need to demand respect. It earns it automatically. A woman will always feel drawn toward a man who has the courage to lead with integrity. What makes masculine energy irresistible is that it balances strength with presence. It is not about trying to dominate. It is about providing direction and stability without losing compassion. A man who embodies this balance is both firm and kind, strong yet empathetic, powerful yet grounded. That blend of qualities creates a rare presence that most women cannot ignore. Because underneath every attraction is the search for something real, something stable, something worth trusting. And when a man radiates masculine energy, he provides exactly that. Ultimately, masculine energy is not about being better than anyone else. It is about being fully aligned with yourself. It is about standing tall in your values, living with purpose, and refusing to compromise your standards for temporary validation. It is about creating a life you are proud of, a mission you are committed to, and a strength that is felt by everyone you encounter. When a woman sees this, when she feels it in the way you carry yourself, she begins to shift. Even if she was not interested before, she will feel the undeniable pull of your presence. Because masculine energy is not something you fake, it is something you cultivate, and once cultivated, it makes you unforgettable. Becoming irresistible is not about tricks, manipulation, or playing endless games. It is about transformation. A woman does not become drawn to you simply because you want her to. She becomes drawn to you because you evolve into a man whose presence commands respect and whose energy cannot be ignored. The truth is, interest cannot always be forced, but it can be earned. And the way it is earned is by stepping fully into your power and embodying the qualities that separate you from every other man. When you commit to that level of transformation, even a woman who wasn't initially interested will begin to see you differently. She will sense that you are not like the rest because you are not chasing, you are not desperate. And you are not incomplete, you are whole. This transformation begins with mastering confidence. Confidence is not just a surface level performance. It is a deep rooted belief in your own value. When you carry yourself as someone who does not need to beg for attention, you create a gravitational pull. People naturally lean toward those who seem certain of who they are. Confidence is magnetic because it communicates security, and security is rare in a world filled with insecurity. When you show that you do not crumble under rejection, when you stand tall even when ignored, and when you remain consistent in your energy, you shift from being forgettable to being unforgettable. A woman might not have noticed you before, but confidence makes her curious. She begins to wonder why you carry yourself with such certainty, and that curiosity becomes the first spark of attraction. Detachment amplifies that transformation. A man who can give without needing, who can connect without clinging, and who can desire without desperation sends a message of strength that no words can match. Detachment proves that you value yourself enough to never beg for love or attention. It shows that you know your worth, and because of that, you do not need anyone else to complete you. This creates a paradox. The less you chase, the more you are chased. The less you try to force interest, the more it begins to form naturally. Women are drawn to men who are free because freedom is rare. Most people are chained by need, but a man who has mastered detachment radiates independence, and that independence is irresistible. Emotional depth is another part of this transformation. Many men believe they must act cold and emotionless to appear strong. But true strength is not the absence of emotion. It is the mastery of it. A man who can express himself with clarity, who can inspire feelings through his presence, and who can make others feel alive without losing his composure becomes unforgettable. Women are not attracted to men who suppress everything. They are attracted to men who can channel their emotions with power. When you speak with conviction, when you show compassion without weakness, when you create emotional impact in every interaction, you build a kind of connection that lingers. Even if she was not drawn to you before, emotional depth can shift her perception entirely because it makes you stand out in a way that surface level charm never could. What ties this transformation together is alignment with purpose. Purpose is the driving force behind masculine energy, confidence, and emotional impact. A man who knows where he is going, who is committed to something greater than himself, automatically becomes more attractive. Purpose gives your life weight, and women feel that weight when they interact with you. It shows in your discipline, in your focus, and in the way you refuse to be distracted by meaningless pursuits. A man on a mission is never ordinary because his energy is charged by direction. When a woman sees this, she begins to admire it, respect it, and often desire it. She may not have been interested at first, but witnessing a man who is aligned with his purpose creates an attraction that logic cannot deny. Transformation into irresistibility is not about changing yourself to please others. It is about becoming the highest version of yourself. It is about shedding the need for approval, building strength in your mind and body, and living with conviction. The moment you embrace this path, you stop trying to get women and instead become a man who naturally attracts them. And when you reach that level, you realize something powerful. The goal was never to make her want you. The goal was to evolve into the kind of man who is so complete, so grounded, and so magnetic that wanting you becomes the natural consequence of who you are. That is the essence of true transformation, and it is the ultimate key to becoming irresistible